Likkutei Sichos, Chelik Tezvah, Volume 15, the third Sicha for Parshas Vayishlach, and it's also Sicha for Yutes Kislev. This Sicha will explain the manner of the miracle of Yutes Kislev, and also what is the great accomplishment of Chassidus, the effect of Chassidus in the world. Just a few things to familiarize ourselves first with. There's a rule, a general rule, and the Rebbe was actually very big on this rule, that whenever there are more than one interpretations, or perhaps sometimes it seems to be conflicting interpretations on the same matter in the Torah, it is obvious that because the Torah is all one, and everything has to be seamlessly connected, therefore there must be that if one actually looks into the matter and one does the proper, so to speak, due diligence, one will find how to reconcile them and how actually that they complement each other. Another thing to familiarize ourselves with, there is a special mitzvah on Friday afternoon as you get close to Shabbos, and it's called Toyameha, which comes from the verse that says, Toyameha Chaim Zachu. Those who taste it, they merit life. And which means basically that one has to express their great excitement and anticipation for Shabbos by tasting some of the food of Shabbos on Erev Shabbos. Also, we know that the whole accomplishment of Chassidus, as was told to the Baal Shem Tov when he met Mashiach in the chamber of Mashiach up in Gan Eden, that he told him that he will reveal himself, he will come when yafutzu ma'inosecha chutza, when your well springs will be spread chutza to the outside. And there are many sichos of the Rebbe where he explains the emphasis of your well springs and it be going specifically to the outside. Another thing to familiarize ourselves with, we know that there is a great difference in the spreading of Chassidus between before Peterburg and after Peterburg, which means before the Alter Rebbe's arrest and where he was imprisoned in Petersburg and interrogated, to after it. It means once Yutes Kislev came about, the redemption of the Alter Rebbe wasn't just another thing, but rather there was a whole turning point in the way even the Alter Rebbe himself spread Chassidus, although up to that point, meaning to that point of the arrest, the Alter Rebbe was spreading Chassidus in a manner that was unprecedented. In fact, that was one of the issues that even his colleagues, meaning other Chassidim, the students of the Maggid, had with him. Another thing to familiarize ourselves with, the difference between the two names of Havaya, Yudke Vavke, and Elikim. In general, they represent Elikim, we know is Begematria Hateva. The word Elikim has the same numerical value as the word Teva, Hateva, the nature, which means that this is a matter of godliness, as Hashem made himself be concealed within nature. And then you have Avaya, Yudke Vavke, which represents the conduct which is beyond nature, typically when there is a miracle that is associated directly with the revelation of Shem Havaya. And one last thing, after the Alter Rebbe's liberation, Yutes Kislev, he sent a letter. He sent several letters, but one monumental letter in which he described the greatness of the miracle, in which he described the powerful miracle that just took place and what it means. And the way he expressed it was in the following. He says, Hifli Hashem vehigdil lases ba'aretz. Hifli Hashem means Hashem did wonders. Vehigdil lases ba'aretz, and he did great things. Higdil coming from the word gadol, which means great, in the earth. We'll see later how that fits how that gets explained in the Sikha. So going into the Sikha, it says on the Pasuk, where it says, Vayivaser Yaakov levado, and Yaakov remained alone. Remember, right before, and then the angel appeared, the angel of Esav, and he had the struggle. So there are many pirushim, there are many explanations, many interpretations as to what this means, Yaakov remained alone. But two perhaps prominent explanations is that the Gemara says that Yaakov remained there alone because he went back to collect pachim ktanim, which is literally small jugs, small little dishes or whatever it is insignificant things, although it was small, the Gemara explains why to Yaakov they were meaningful. In fact, Tosfos says that this can actually be read into the words. It could be hinted. It's hinted in the words. Instead of reading Vayivasar Yaakov levadoi, that Yaakov remained levadoi alone, you can actually Vav and Chaf are interchangeable, so you can actually read it Vayivasar Yaakov lechadoi, that Yaakov remained for his cod, for his little jug. That's the Gemara. The Medrash says, however, that what is the meaning of Vayivasar Yaakov levada? Yaakov remained alone. That says the Medrash that just like by Hashem it says V'niskov Hashem levada. It says in Yeshayahu about what's going to be when Mashiach comes that Hashem will be exalted all by himself and alone, meaning he'll stand alone. So too Yaakov, quote, remained levada, remained alone. So the Rebbe has, of course, discussed many times, whenever there's more than one explanation, one interpretation on a matter in the Torah, there has to be a connection between the two. So the question is, what is the connection here? In fact, if you take a glance at it, at least a superficial glance, it seems that they are actually two opposites. There's no way that they can connect. Why would we say that? Because when you say that if you say that he remained for small jugs, that means he remained for some. This is an indicator of some that he had some connection to, so to speak, lowly and less significant things. And then when you say the other one from the Medrash that he remained alone, this is tantamount to Hashem being alone. This is something of the loftiest and most significant matter. So the question is, how do they connect? And says the Rebbe, in order to understand this, let's take a look at events that occur during the time typically when we read Parshas Vayishlach. You see, the Shalom writes that all the Yomim Tovim, all the festivals of the year, they are connected to the parshas that coincide with them, that are being read in the same time that those festivals occur. So of course it's understood that there has to be a special connection between Vayishlach and Yutas Kislev. The question is, what is it? Says the Rebbe will understand the connection by prefacing a general introduction into what exactly is the meaning, what exactly is the accomplishment, the breakthrough of the revelation of Torah Chassidus. Because the real question is, why now? If Chassidus is so important, why in these last generations was Chassidus revealed and not in prior generations when there were tremendously great Chachamim, like in the times of the Mishnah, and the times of the Gemara, and even later? So there are two general answers that are given. Number one, that because this is a time of Ikvased Mashiach, the footsteps of Mashiach, and the darkness in the world is so intensified, is so strong, therefore you need such a great light like of Chassidus to be able to help to break through the darkness, to shatter that dark, that heavy darkness. That's one explanation that's given. Another one that's given is that it's similar to the halacha which we said in the introduction of Toyhameh Chaim Zochu, that since, as the Ramban writes in the Chumash Bereshis, that Shis Alfei Shnir Have Alma, that the world is supposed to exist only 6,000 years, and now we are in a time that is similar to the time of Erev Shabbos, post midday, post Chatzos, and therefore we have to quote unquote taste from the Torah of Mashiach, which is the Torah of Chassidus, which reveal the inner secrets, the inner meanings of Torah, and therefore now is a time to partake from that. Now is a time to sample that, to taste that. And therefore we had the revelation of Chassidus now. So over here too, says the Rebbe, you see two extremes, two opposite extremes. In the one hand you say it's the lowliest of times, it's the darkest of times. In the other hand you say it seems that this is the loftiest of times. We're in a time that is so close to the revelation of Mashiach, we're like Erev Shabbos after Chatzos. How do you reconcile the two? How do you bring the two together? Says the Rebbe, the explanation of this is as follows. It's known that Yutas Kislev affected, what was the accomplishment of Yutas Kislev? That the Ma'ayonos, that the actual well springs themselves should reach Chutza, to the most outer parts of the world. What does this mean? What is the idea of Yofutzu Meinesecha Chutza? So the Rebbe says the emphasis is that not that the effect of the Ma'ayonos, the effect of the well springs should reach outside, but but rather the well springs themselves should arrive at the most outer parts in the world, and there they should be in a manner, not that they should be contained, so to speak, and hidden, but they should become spread out there in the world. That every single point of the chutzah, every single point of the outside, of the outer world, of the extremes, should be permeated with Chassidus. With this is essentially connecting two opposites, taking the most inner mayanos, the most inner well springs, and spreading it to the most outer outside. Just like everything that there is in the world begins from Torah, in other words, whatever we see in the world, we see in Torah, so too, whatever happened by the Alter Rebbe, he affected the world, also comes from and begins with Torah. What did the Alter Rebbe do? The Alter Rebbe was the first one to take and connect, to fuse together the two parts of the Torah. The two separate, what was once a separate parts of the Torah, Nigla and Nistar, the revealed part of the Torah and the hidden part of the Torah. Now, just like you have this idea of connecting the revealed and the hidden part in the Torah, so too we have it also in the person himself. In every person, there is the, so to speak, hidden part of the person, the concealed part of the person, the most inner part, and then there's the revealed part. The most concealed part is the inherent, the deep emunah, the faith that is there in every single person, every single neshama. A neshama has built into it emunah, but that's something that's very, very subliminal. That's something that's very, very deeply rooted in the neshama. And then you have the revealed aspect of the person, which is the person's intellect and the person's emotions, the person's actions. Now, it's true that up until the revelation of Chassidus, of course, that emunah had an effect on the people. In other words, of course, you can't say that up until the revelation of Chassidus, emunah, the inner emunah, didn't affect the people. Of course it affected them, but not in the same way that post the revelation of Chassidus. You see, what happened is after the revelation of Chassidus is that they took the most deepest aspects of emunah that were in deep in the depths of the neshama, and the Chassidus affected that it should become one, it should be unified with the total person, that his reality should be permeated, even his seichel, even his intellect should be permeated and appreciate the deepest ideas of faith. Now, so far we had the connection of the two opposites in Torah, the connection of two opposites in each individual, connecting their neshama, the most deeper inner secret part of the neshama, to their most revealed part, their reality. So too, says the Rebbe, is also in the collective of Am Yisrael. This is individual Yid and in the collective of all Jews together, which really all Yidden are like together like one body. Where you see that in the past, up until the revelation of Chassidus, especially until the revelation that happened post Yutas Kislev, there was a divide. There were always the Roshei Alpha Yisrael, you had the leaders, you had the great Torah giants, but they were more secluded, they were more isolated, they were more detached, and they lived, so to speak, within their own world. They flourished in their own realm, but they weren't really connected to the people. They had an effect on the people, but from a distance. Came Chassidus and made a connection between the two. Then now there's a connection, and we see it, that you have a connection between the Rebbe and even the simplest of people. There is an active connection. There is an active unity that happens, something that didn't happen before. Now, we know, take it to another step, we know that Torah is like the neshama of the world. We know that the whole world is built and designed according to Torah. So Torah is like the soul of the world, and therefore it's understood that just as Yutas Kislev affected this chidush, this novelty in Torah and in the neshama of each individual and in the neshama of the collective of Am Yisrael, so too it also had an effect on the world itself. You see, from the world itself, if one wants to come to appreciate godliness, one wants to recognize Hashem, as far as the world is concerned, as far as the what's available, so to speak, through the prism of looking through the teva, the nature, and the world, you can only reach an understanding and appreciation of godliness as it is melubash b'teva, as it is, so to speak, garbed in nature, as it is concealed in nature. Through looking into what goes on in the world, through seeing all the beauty and all the amazing effects of nature, one can come to a recognition that yes, there must be something that runs this show. There must be something that makes all this happen. But one doesn't come to a true recognition in the ultimate of godliness, which is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is Shem Hashem, which precedes and is greater than anything that's in this world, precedes this world, and is greater than anything that can be appreciated through the world. Of course, sometimes you see miracles, and the miracle does make like a breakthrough and does give a certain expression of the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, because as we said in the introduction, miracles come from Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. But this is not coming from the world. This is shattering nature for momentarily. This is breaking through nature. It's a disruption of nature, but it's not coming from the world itself. What Chassidus accomplished, again, Chassidus is about fusing the two opposites together. What Chassidus accomplished is that in the world itself, you can have a revelation of godliness. Which level of godliness? That level which in itself is inherently higher than the world. And to bring it down in such a manner that even the human intellect can understand it through various parables, to various metaphors that Chassidus brings and shows us how within the world itself you can understand godliness. Which godliness? The deepest levels of godliness. Says the Rebbe, with all this will appreciate and understand. Now, in other words, have a better appreciation for the expression that the Alter Rebbe uses in that landmark letter that he sent after his liberation. He writes over there that Hifli Hashem v'higdil ases ba'aretz. So the explanation is as follows. Normally, the way Hashem runs the world, there are generally two manners. There is the manner which is al pi teva, according to nature. Well, as we said in the introduction, we said it all along, where godliness is concealed. If anything, you can see the Shem Elikim, but you cannot see Shem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And then there is, when you have revealed Hashgacha Pratis, where you see Hashem directly involved, and it's obvious and it's evident, and there you see, in nature, you see a revelation of the Or, of the light, of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei of Hashem. However, in this latter one, you can actually break it down into three. In other words, in this miraculous conduct and this revelation of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, there are three ways that it can happen. You have times when it happens in a micro manner, meaning that there is Hashgacha Pratis, but you see it, so to speak, within the nature. It's kind of like camouflaged in the nature. Then there is, that's in a small scale, on a micro scale. Then you have a much greater one, a more elaborate one. I would call it the macro revelation. And that is that a miracle happens, or a revelation of Hashgacha Pratis is such a magnitude that you see that it's above nature. But still, it is connected somehow to nature. It does have a relation, because remember, when you say it's great, that means it has some relation. It has some whatsoever, albeit a contrast to something that's small, right? Big is the opposite of small. So when you say there's a big revelation, that is still something within the realm. It's just far greater than the small, tiny visuals of Hashgacha Pratis. Then you have a third manner where the miracle, it's like a pella, it's like a wondrous thing, hifli. It's in such a manner that it's totally beyond any connection, any means of nature. And the Rebbe breaks it down. These three manners are basically paralleled in the three types of miracles that we find in general. You have the miracle that is nes melubash b'teva, that a miracle, but however it's camouflaged, it's garbed in nature. For example, the miracle of Purim, it happens through nature. That's one kind. That's like almost like a micro. Then you have revealed miracles, right? Revealed miracles are certainly miracles. It's obvious, it's clear, it's very elaborate. However, they typically have some kind of connection, or as the Rebbe uses the term achiza, some hold on nature. For example, let's say the famous story when Bnei Yisrael entered Eretz Yisrael and Yehoshua, through blowing the shofar and through miracle, toppled the walls of Yericho, which were unpenetratable. And they just came right down. So that's a miracle. It's obvious that the entry of Bnei Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael is miraculous. However, if you look at the verses preceding that, it describes how they had to fight a war. In other words, yes, it was a miracle, but it was a miracle that's somewhat connected to nature afterwards. I had some hold on nature, some connection, some relation to nature. Of course, it's a great miracle. Or the Rebbe brings a story that happened to Alter Rebbe, that there was somebody who was very ill, and he came to Alter Rebbe, and Alter Rebbe instructed him to eat a half a shmura matzah and drink it down with water, and he'll become well. It's obvious that shmura matzah has no connection to his illness, and that's what it's not. It was a miracle. It was a bracha. But still, the bracha didn't just happen without any whatsoever physical, natural connection, natural interaction. In this case, Alter Rebbe told him to eat something. That's a second type of miracle. Then there is a third type of miracle. There's a miracle that has absolutely no connection even to nature. And that is, for example, which we find the story with Chizkiyahu HaMelech, where he said, the Medrash says, I'm going to sleep on my bed. I'm not even going out there. I'm not even going to engage in war. I'm not even going to maneuver my troops. And we're going to be victorious over the enemy just in a miraculous manner. This is a miracle that has absolutely no connection to nature. Says the Rebbe, this is the uftu. This is the accomplishment. This is the whole accomplishment of the miracle of Yutas Kislev. That not only was it higdil Hashem lasos, that Hashem did greatness, which means it has a connection to nature, but moreover, says the Alter Rebbe, hifli, it was a wondrous thing. It was beyond. It was a miracle that is beyond nature. It was both. It was a miracle, that part of it that was enclosed, concealed in nature, but then there was hifli Hashem, that it was totally beyond nature, totally beyond any connection to Teva. But still, all of that, lasis ba'aretz, that it was Hashem did in the earth. What does that mean? Why did Alter Rebbe emphasize that? Why didn't he just say hifli Hashem v'higdil Hashem? Because the whole purpose of Chassidus is, like we said before, to connect it, to take the two opposites and connect them. So the only true accomplishment is that it was something that was seen, something that was evident, something that was felt ba'aretz, in the earthly world. And the Rebbe Rashab said, where does the power to connect these two opposites, to fuse the revealed and the secret part of the Torah together, that really the two opposite things, where does it come from? This comes from the fact that Alter Rebbe revealed the etzem, the source, the essence of Pnimius HaTorah. Now, since it's the essence of Pnimius HaTorah, is the same essence of the revealed part of the Torah. It's like the soul of Torah. And therefore, once you reveal that, you can bring the two opposites together. Likewise by Yidden. How did Chassidus accomplish, through the revelation of Chassidus, that to bring these two opposites by Yidden, the most deepest element of Emunah, and to bring it in a practical manner that a Yid should be able to even understand it and bring it into his practical life? That's because he revealed the Etzem HaNeshama, the Etzem HaNeshama of the Yid. And likewise in the world. The world itself, of course, you cannot really expect from the world itself that there should be a connection, a fusion between, quote, the reality of the world to the godly chayis that powers the world. However, Chassidus revealed the etzem. Chassidus revealed the essence of everything. And therefore there's able to be a revelation within the world of the chayis eloki, of the godly chayis, the godly energy, which gives energy to the world, which is really beyond the world. So the accomplishment, the uiftu, the whole appreciation of Yafutzu Meinesecha Chutza is that the Mayonis themselves should reveal themselves not only in a place which is, so to speak, compatible or predisposed to godly matters. But even in a place that is total chutzah, that seems on the surface to be something that is maybe antithetical to godliness, over there to bring the revelation of the deepest secrets of the Torah, of the greatest levels of godliness. That's also because by revealing the essence of everything. Now, says the Rebbe, we can understand the connection, that which we asked all the way in the beginning of the Sikha, the connection between the two explanations as to why Hasidus was revealed after in these times. One is which seem to be two opposites. One because it's so dark, and the other because it's a taste of Mashiach. In other words, it's the ultimate of times. The idea is, by revealing the essence of Pnimis HaTorah, you get the true appreciation of that. The true appreciation gets expressed specifically when it's able to illuminate the darkness. In other words, if this quote-unquote sampling, this tasting would have came at an earlier time when it's not so dark, it would not express the magnitude, the greatness of the revelation, because it won't be an expression of Etzem. In order to bring out Etzem gets highlighted, the Etzem of the secrets of the Torah gets highlighted specifically when, or exclusively when, it's able to illuminate the deepest level of darkness, the greatest level of choshech. And this is why the te'ima, the true taste, came now. Because now that there is choshech, of course it's the greatest of times, but there is choshech in order to show, to highlight the great revelation that there is. In other words, to make it really, really tasty, that real true taste, a true sampling of the deepest of the etzem, of the essence of the secrets of the Torah. And now we can explain and appreciate the original question in the Parsha, which when it says Vayivaser Yaakov levadoi, which one explanation was, one interpretation was that he remained for his small jugs, and the other one was that it's parallel to Hashem being alone. That is the point. Because he is connected to the highest, that's why he was involved in the most smallest, or what seems to be most insignificant things in this world, and matters in this world, because we know avodas habirurim, the avodah of elevating Gashmias, the avodah of elevating the world, is really the ultimate purpose, and this is the most significant thing, and therefore it gets expressed in what seems to be the most smallest and insignificant. That's where Yaakov, even to that lowest point, that's where Yaakov was cared about and was involved with elevating to Hashem.